Hopefully it works. Good morning.
Morning, Bob.
Everything is hunky-dory here in Valdosta, Georgia. Where are you today, Jimmy?
Savannah, Georgia. Sunny Savannah.
Savannah. So like what is it like in Savannah during this challenging time? What are the streets like? What have you been doing? What are some of the things that have been going on in your world?
Yeah, well, actually, in the neighborhood where I live here, people have been very active. Has a lot to do with our climate here this time of year. It's tough to stay indoors, but see people walking around, going for runs a lot, very frequently, all hours of the day. Walking their pets, getting their dogs outside, talking from distance, 6 foot, at least 6 foot distance. See a lot of that. So yeah, a lot of good civilians here in Savannah, and they're abiding by the social distancing guidelines, which is cool to see. A lot of good examples out there.
That's good. That's good. That's good to see that. So I love Savannah, and I love the ghost tours and everything that goes on there that you get to do. And I'm, that, so my, as I've got a real visual mind, and I see these ghost tours in a ghost town because people are down on the streets,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. It's really neat. Like the history. It's a very, very unique place for sure.
So what was the movie, the book that was written, and then the movie? I think Clint Eastwood was in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. Something about good and evil that was all about Savannah. Do you remember that? Or
I haven't seen that. Heard about that movie. The movie that pops to my mind is Forrest Gump. Arguably the best of all time. So
yeah,
that definitely comes up to me.
Yeah. If you ever, go search it on Netflix, it's, that famous story that took place there, and it's in the Garden of Good and Evil or something like that. It's
Okay.
it's really interesting. It's all about Savannah. It's a very dark and real deep message that goes on there. So I think you would find that fascinating. So here we are, April 17th, 2020. Principle number 17, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Share some stories about that with me, Jimmy.
Yeah, sure. One example, personal example that pops to mind, summer 2018, shortly after I was hired to be the caddy services manager at Ohoopee, moved from New York to Georgia.
Wow.
Part of my job was recruiting caddies to come work here, since it was a brand new, not established club yet, as we know. Once the roster positions were filled, the next thing I had to do was come up with guidelines, rules and regulations for the caddies to abide by when they're on property.
Wow. Okay.
Now, with them being independent contractors, there are some things you have to look out for. And I remember talking to a guy I used to work with down in South Florida, and he said, "Wow, Jim, this is perfect timing. You get to create your own culture. You can, give these guys rules and regulations to follow, so the program runs as smooth as you want it to." And I said, "Yeah, that it is a unique opportunity, but the only thing is, I don't have to follow these rules and regulations. They do. So why not ask them, get their point of view on things and how they want our culture to be?" It's a unique opportunity for everybody, not just me. So what I did was I had all the guys over my house, pizza, beer, this, that. it was a good time. And we had what we call in Dale Carnegie a green light meeting. So what I did was I tried to tailor the conversation the way, towards the end goal. So what I did was I chose about 6 categories: caddy golf privileges, caddy uniforms, caddy lunches, caddy protocol. Put them up on a drawing board, and I just opened the floor up to them and wanted to hear what they had to say, and jotted everything down in the categories from, wear whatever shoes you want, wear whatever color hat you want, play golf at this time. And it was a great, unique opportunity for me to hear what they had to say, and then eventually put it into writing. So I brought everybody back 2 weeks later. We had a red light meeting, which is where we firmed up all the categories, put it into a caddy guideline for them to follow. And I found it was neat that, it's easier to hold people accountable to their own standards.
That's right.
And you get more committed individuals that way. A better team atmosphere. So when we try honestly to see from the other person's point of view, the benefit we get from that is not compliance, but commitment.
That is awesome. That's great. That's great. And I loved how you use the leadership training for managers process in order to come up with that. That's just a great example of a couple of things that we do all the time. That the way that, I think when we look back on, like the last month or the last week or the last couple of years, you start living your life that way, and you never realize it because it becomes second nature to you too. So Jimmy, what day were you born? What was your birthday?
February 1st, 1989.
Yeah, think about that. And this is something that I try to convey to individuals when I work with them one-on-one is you were born that day. I think back on the day of January 15th, 2012. That was the day that my dad passed away. And you were born on that one day. My dad passed away on that one day. And we can make changes in our lives, in the lives of other people in one day. Your parents' whole world changed on that one day in 1989. And our family's life changed on that one day in 2012. So as we are challenged by these times that we're in right now, we can make a turn, a pivot, and change in one day, and that's something that I think sometimes we feel the enormous weight of the world on our shoulders, and we let that get us down. Yet we can make a change in our own world in one day, and the principle that you shared with us, trying to see things honestly from the other person's point of view. There's some people that I struggle seeing from their point of view because it's so myopic or negative or condescending to other people. Yet when you really work hard to see that from their point of view, then maybe you can really understand where they're coming from. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to agree with it.
Right.
Yet you can see it. So
Right.
that's what we do. So, as we go through our lives, this is one day. We have one day that we can make a huge change. Like you were talking about earlier before we went live, you were talking about the webinar that you're going to be on today to, disagreeing agreeably. That's a changing life thing. Once you turn that corner, that you can have a disagreement with somebody and still continue the conversation, that's an amazing thing. And so I'll be anxious to hear next week your thought process on that. So what else you got on the agenda this weekend, Jimmy? Anything big or?
Yeah, I'm definitely, like I mentioned, the weather here. going to get outside and exercise and enjoy some fresh air. But most importantly, you know, keep my distance, do my part, for the time being until, you know, whenever that day is. And, you know, like I mentioned before, positivity is key right now.
You got it. You got it.
We don't know when things are going to, you know, all of a sudden get better and open back up. So, you know, the more positive we could be, the more positive experiences that we've had in our lifetimes that we think about and we remind others of, friends, family. You never know what that could do to their day.
That's true.
One thing my good buddy Danny and I were talking about the other day is, you know, I try to get every day, I try to think of one of those experiences, and sure enough, I'm sure there's going to be a picture that I have that I could send to somebody, and, you know, just, you know, saying, hey, you remember this time here in Montauk, or you remember this time here down in Florida, and, you know, you don't know what impact that could have on their day. And if it's a good time, it's probably going to, you know, put them in a good mindset. And like Mr. Carnegie says, our lives are what our thoughts make it. So when we think positive thoughts, you know, we're going to be happier people. And this whole process is going to go by a lot faster.
Yep, we go right to that golden book and cultivate a mental attitude that will bring you peace and happiness. And one of those is to fill your mind with thoughts of peace, courage, health, and hope. And that's something that we can all do. And that, you know, that managing stress starts in our own mind. And, you know, we have so many burdens on us right now, the financial burden, you know, the health thoughts and everything else that is there. Yet, you know, the mind is a muscle. You can condition it, and it, you know, this is very stressful times for a lot of individuals. And if we can just, you know, imagine getting through this and how much stronger you're going to be in the future. So, you know, we're cultivating that thoughts of peace, health, hope, courage, and keep going. So appreciate you being with me, Jimmy. I love sharing this time with you, and I'll be attacking principle number 18 tomorrow. So have a wonderful day. Enjoy your webinar. I look forward to hearing from you on how that went. And
thanks, Bob. Yeah.
Have a great one, my friend.
You too. Take care.
All right. Bye.